So a few weeks ago, I posted a video where I made logic gates out of fence gates, and boy did that video blow up. I'm actually still trying to process it, but today we're back for more, because I want some more of those sweet, sweet views. Just kidding, I know that's not how the algorithm works, but I wanted to revisit the topic anyways because of a specific comment that kept popping up on that video. Something along the lines of, you could have just used NOR gates or NAND gates and made this a whole lot easier, right? Well, yes, but actually no. It is true that you can use only NOR gates or only NAND gates to construct every other logic gate, but there's one problem with that: inversion. Let me explain. So with the gate designs that I made in the last video, I used armor stands as the signal, and the logic gate would either block it or let it through. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I suggest you watch the last video first and then come back to this one. Link is in the description. So the big question here is, how would you make a logic gate that would output the opposite of its input, aka a NOT gate? So let's say, for example, that this here is a NOT gate and we've let an armor stand through, which means that it is outputting a 1. So what happens if an armor stand comes in as an input like this? Well, then this NOT gate would have to then be outputting a 0, right? But we can't really do that because we've already let the armor stand through, and at this point, who knows how far it's gone, right? It could have triggered other logic down the line as well, and we can't really just suck it up back to where it began. So essentially, it's impossible to create a NOT gate with this signal flow and signal blocking type of design, and therefore it's also impossible to make NOR gates and NAND gates. So what do? Well, we crawl right back to Steve Mould and steal his idea even harder. Water. Water in Minecraft is weird, but it's in its weirdness that we can find our answer. You see, water in Minecraft can take back a 1 and turn it into a 0. All you have to do is just take out the source. And there you go, a 1 turned into a 0. So what we're going to do today is we're going to use this very simple mechanic to make a water-based NAND gate, and then combine a bunch of them together in order to create the necessary logic gates to make another full adder. Let's get started. So making the NAND gate should actually be pretty easy because all we have to do is create the opposite of an AND gate. So we're just going to have to make sure that it's on all the time except for when both the inputs are true. So that means whether we're building an AND gate or a NAND gate, something special needs to happen when both inputs are true. So let's see what I can come up with. So I'm thinking I want to use a boat for this. So basically a boat and a pressure plate in the middle, so that when only one of the inputs is active, then it would be pushed to one side. So if that one's active, it would be on this side. And then if this one's active, it would be pushed over to this side. But then if both of them are active like this, then it would be pushed into the center. Now the issue would be if both of these water sources were taken away at the same time. So if I make sure to do it fast, oh, it did actually drift off of the pressure plate, so we might be in the clear as long as both of them don't disappear at exactly the same time. Let's actually continue testing. Let's see. So what if it's just one and then I take it away like that? Okay, it drifts a little bit, but it does settle off of the pressure plate, which is good. And then here you can see we take that away, and yeah, it's looking really good actually. So this might be our NAND gate. Now we just have to make sure to invert that. And actually that was pretty easy to do with a waterlogged trapdoor here. As you can see, we can just put our water sources on either side like that. That closes that up and cuts off the output, as you can see there. And if we take away one of the inputs, the output resumes. So now that's a 1 and that's a 0. Awesome. So here we have our water-based NOR gate. That was way easier than I thought it would be. So now let's use this to construct all the other logic gates that we need for our adder. So that would be the XOR gate, the AND gate, and the OR gate. And just for simplicity, let's start with the AND gate. So for the AND gate, it's really tempting to just kind of mess with this trapdoor a bit so that it's off by default, but I want to stay true to the NAND design, so we're going to have to add an extra NAND to the end of this to invert this output. So basically we would need to find a way to split the one input into two inputs and then also stagger them. Let's see what happens when we place it in the middle. I think I know what's gonna happen. Alright, so if we have our input in the middle like this, it gets split into two, and it goes like this. That works as expected, but I suspect that when I take this one out, it will just kind of, yeah, it just dances around on the pressure plate, but then stays there. So if we actually go ahead and put it off center, maybe here instead. Oh wait, that doesn't work. Okay, so if I raise the input by one so that it doesn't go just the shortest path, then there we go. Activating it works as expected. And then if I remove the one input, then since they're asymmetrical, there we go. It gets pushed over to one side, and let's just make sure that it's repeatable. So that boat should be pushed into the center again. Perfect, that's exactly what happens. And let's remove the input to this NOT gate, and there we go. Drifts over off the pressure plate and turns it into a 1. So now all we have to do is just bring this right underneath here, and then we have our weirdly large but functional AND gate. And there we go. So we have our completed AND gate here. Let's go ahead and test it. So if we have one input like so, you can see that, yeah, the signal does propagate, but it always makes sure that it ends up at the right state. So there we go. And if we get rid of this and then put one here instead, you can see that, yep, of course it still works. And then if we have both the inputs as a 1, then we should see, yep, that disappears. This drifts over to the side, and we have our output. And then if either of them disappear, like so, then we'll see that come down, and then the boat drifts right back onto the pressure plate and it turns off. So there we go. We have our functional AND gate. Now for the OR gate. So here's the diagram of an OR gate made out of NAND gates, and as you can see, it's a little bit more involved than the AND gate, but I think we can manage. So if you look, the two inputs are literally just the inverters that we just finished building and tacked onto the end of this NAND gate in order to make it into an AND gate. So all we need to do here is build two of those and then put them as inputs into a regular NAND gate. So that should be pretty self-explanatory, so I'm just going to go ahead and build that and show you the end result. And there we go, pretty easily done. As you can see, we have a 0 because both of the inputs are 0, and if we put one of the inputs as a 1, you can see that this drifts over, that starts to disappear, this one drifts over, and then it outputs a 1. Now same thing, of course, as if both of them were 1. As you can see, no change there. You can see that it still outputs a 1. Switch them so that this inputs a 1, this inputs a 0. And you can see that although it does momentarily switch this off, it switches back on. So there we go. And then if we were to once again remove that input, we're back to 0, 0. And the output of this OR gate is a 0. So perfect. Now on to the XOR gate. Alright, so here we have the diagram of the XOR gate made out of NAND gates, and as you can see, it's actually pretty simple. I mean, it's barely more complex than this thing. In fact, I think I can reuse this and then just take out this common input over here and turn it into two inputs, and then add that first NAND gate and split the signal a couple of times. So I'll get right on that. And there we go. Here we have our XOR gate. It kind of looks like some kind of weird demented face, but anyways, these two over here are our inputs, and you can see they're both 0 right now, so our output is 0. So if I go ahead and put down a water bucket there, we should see this change to a 1, hopefully. Eventually. And what happened there? Updates are weird. Alright, so it is working well, so let's go over here and put another water bucket here. So we should see that this will turn off eventually. You can see both of those go off of their respective bits, and yeah, you can see it turns off. And if I get rid of this input, we can see that this boat goes away, this boat gets to the center, and there you go. Now we have an output of 1. And finally, if I were to take away this input, then we should see that this boat drifts off this way. This boat will be brought to the middle, and it will turn off. Perfect. And now all that's left to do is just to copy and paste these in the correct way and just turn it into a full adder. Let's do it. So I made an oopsie. So I, in my infinite wisdom, decided to color code these ahead of time. So I used orange for AND gates and light blue for OR gates, as I did in the last design, except I did it backwards. That's right, that's actually an AND gate, as we literally just finished building, and that's an OR gate. So I basically swapped their positions around, which obviously doesn't work. So even though I completely finished this thing from top to bottom, it's wrong, and I need to start over. Deep breaths. We got this. Let's try again. There we go. That's more like it. So as you can see, we have swapped the positions of these AND gates and these OR gates, and this should work perfectly now. And you can see here that the setup is pretty similar as the last one. You can see that the most significant bits are over here, and the least significant bits are just over here. So we've got our 1's place, our 2's place, our 4's place, and our 8's place over here. So the way that I'm going to test this out, and we're going to do it live on camera because it's actually very satisfying to watch. So I'm going to put only 1's on the right hand side of these pairs, and you'll actually see the water just kind of propagate through the whole thing. And it's very, very satisfying to watch. And it's slow, but honestly, that kind of gives it a unique kind of beauty, in my opinion. So we'll just continue to watch this flow its way down. You can see that this one is already on its way down. Those are the outputs right there. This one's also on its way down. This one is working on it. You can see that, yep, there you go. That trapdoor has opened. And now this XOR gate is working on its magic. That XOR gate opened just like that. And there we go. We have our pass-through. So 1, 1, 1, 1 plus 0, 0, 0, 0 is equal to 1, 1, 1, 1. The beauty of this design, especially when it compares to the last one that I did with armor stands and fence gates, is that it's fully state-based. So I can actually change it on the fly. And not only that, but you can see that these lines of water represent what's powered and what's not. It's actually really clear what's going on here. So you can see that now we have a 1, 1, 1, 1. And if I go over here and flick just this lever, we have 1, 1, 1, 1 plus 0, 0, 0, 1, right? And so what would happen there is you would expect all of these to carry over. 1 plus 1 is 0, carry the 1, right? And then 1 plus 1 is 0, carry the 1 all the way down. And we should see all of these water columns turn off. And we should see this right here, which is our carry bit, turn on. And you can watch that very slowly and very satisfyingly propagate through the entire circuit. So here we go. As you can see, I didn't have to reset it at all. And we have the water coming down. This one turns off pretty fast. There you go. So it turns off. And you can see the water just kind of making its way very slowly through the system. And you can see that final OR gate is making its way through. This boat will then move over to that corner, turning on this column of water there. So now, as you can see, all of those have cascaded all the way through into the carry bit, and this is your new state of the circuit. Alright, so this design is cool and all, but there's one thing that you may have noticed even when we were designing this OR gate here, is that it's vastly overcomplicated. You see, an OR gate with water really only needs to be just like one empty channel that both inputs go into, and it doesn't need to be this overly complicated. But I decided to settle on this design anyway because it uses only NAND gates, which was kind of the point of the whole video. But I'll be honest, I couldn't help myself with the simplification of this. And so if we turn all the way around, you can see a whole different design here. And these little blue bits right here, yep, those are our OR gates. I'm sure you can see just how different this one looks than the other one. If I turn around, you can see that this one is way taller than this one over here. This one also happens to be a lot faster because there's a lot less boats moving around. But also you can see that the logic gates themselves may look just a tiny bit different. So when I decided to go ahead and build this design over here, I needed to flip it 180 degrees, which you'd think wouldn't be a problem, but it turns out that these NAND gates are directional. So when they're facing this way over here, you can see that it works just fine. So if I go ahead and place a bucket in either of those two corners, you can see that the boat sinks and it makes contact with this pressure plate here. So if I decide to move the pressure plate from over here to over here, and basically flip this 180 degrees, and then pour the water buckets on either side over here, you'll see that, oh, it still works. Well, I swear it wasn't working over there. Alright, how about if I pour from up top like this? No, it still works. Is it directional and locational? Man, that's weird stuff. Well, so that's slightly embarrassing. So what I was trying to show you was that this boat actually sometimes floats and actually hovers above this pressure plate, which means that it doesn't make full contact. So to fix that, instead of putting the water into this space, we pushed it back this way so that the water blade is a little bit thinner in the middle here. That's basically all that changed. So now I actually want to do the rest of the tests on this design as opposed to that one. Yes, I know that one over there actually uses an OR gate made out of NAND gates, but in my opinion, this one is quite a bit more satisfying to watch, especially since it's a lot smaller. All right, so as is tradition, give me a number between 1 and 15.
Here's a random number, 3.
3, okay, all right. Give me a random number between 1 and 15.
Here's a random number, 9.
3 plus 9. Okay, so we should be expecting 12, but we're jumping the gun here. So 3 is, so 3 is 0, 0, 1, 1. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the 1 and the 1 and a 9. If I can race all the way over here, is a 1, 0, 0, 1. And there we go. And let's go ahead and see if we can catch all the logic happening. You'll see a couple of blips like that happen, but that's okay because the ending state of the machine is going to be the correct answer. So we are looking for 12, which should be 8 plus 4 plus 0 plus 0. So we should have a 0 in the carry bit, a 1 in the 8's bit, a 1 in the 4's bit, and then 2 more zeros. So we're just going to wait for all of this to propagate through, and as soon as we stop seeing movement, that should be our answer. So you can see that this AND gate fired, and we have that XOR gate working, and there we go. We have our output here, and it looks like we have no more movement. And there it is, 12. So that's 0, 1, 1, 0, 0. All right, now let's try the 11 plus 5 that broke my last design the first time. So what's cool about this is that I don't have to reset it at all. I can just go up here and start flicking levers. So let's start with 11. So that would be 1, 0, 1, 1. So we have 1, we have a 0 there. We already have a 1 there. We already have a 1 there. And then a 5, which should be 1, 0, 1. Oh, okay, so it was actually almost there. And you can see that it slowly starts to transition. So we should see a 1 in this carry bit, which is actually already making its way down. And we should see this bit and this bit turn off eventually. So you can see the water making its way all the way through. You can see that XOR gate has now canceled itself out. There you go. That AND gate has activated, and you'll see that fall into this part of the XOR gate. And there you go. And it does a little shimmy, and it continues to be a 1. That's not what we were expecting. Hold on. Did I type it in wrong? Let's see. 1, 0, 1, 1 plus, oh, that needs to be a 0. So that 0, 1, 0, 1. Okay, yeah, so this one needs to be off. My bad. So if I go ahead and flick that lever again, now we have our 11 plus 5. Instead, we were doing, let's see, that would be 11 plus 13, wasn't it? 11 plus 13. And there we go. That one has turned off, and we have our carry bit, and now we have our clean 16. So 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. And now let's just go up here and turn these all to 0, and then just kind of watch this machine reset itself. It's really nice to watch. So here we go, off and off. Let's make our way over here as quickly as we can. And check that out. You can see all of the water start retracting. You might see a couple of blips here and there. But all in all, we should see a 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 output eventually. But there's a whole lot of movement, and I just absolutely love watching all of this movement that happens. Oh, we have a casualty. Okay, so everything else reset nicely, but what the heck just happened there? I'm gonna have to go look back at that footage. All right, so I watched that back, and it seems like it just glitched through the block. I'm not really sure what to do about that, so we're just gonna put you back and pretend that never happened. And there you have it, a couple of adders made out of only NAND gates. Well, that one anyway. Hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something, and if you did, like and subscribe for more Redstone fun like this. All right, bye-bye.